Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Tell all your friends so the show can grow. Take a break and crack a smile while I entertain you for a while. On air from the chair. I said on air from the chair. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to On Air from the Chair with your host, Big Mike. That's me. So I am excited today. My guest that is in the chair today via Zoom, so this is our second video, is Colleen Falicki. Now, I've known her for years. I don't want to say the number because it's getting quite substantial. We were just talking about our reunion that'll be coming up next year. But we went to high school together, and I've we've stayed in touch throughout the years, and been in social media. I've been able to see what she's done, and listeners, I think you're going to be so excited to learn more about Colleen. And she's extraordinary in the fact that she was able to start her own business. She's a phenomenal mother. So there's just so many great things about Colleen that I'm excited that I could get you to come in. So welcome to the show, Colleen.
Thank you. Thanks for the kind words. Appreciate it, Mike. Yeah, I'm happy to
Absolutely.
be here. And I dared to take the chair, I guess you could say, right?
You did dare to take the chair. That's right. That's right. So, obviously I know a ton about you, but probably not everything. So, well, why don't we start off with just some simple background information, kind of where you're
Sure.
from, where you grew up, that type of thing.
Yeah, so I didn't move that far from where I grew up. So I'm in Pennsylvania, um, and I grew up in King of Prussia
Mhm.
by the infamous King of Prussia Mall. We
Absolutely.
fought
Spent
there.
many a day there.
Yes, for sure. Preteen, teen. And I live in Plymouth Meeting now.
Oh,
So my
okay.
husband of 21 years, and I have two kids. Um, they're 16 and 14.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so I didn't move that far from where I grew up, and I love this area. So just
Yeah.
enjoying it right now, especially since it's fall and the leaves are changing and
Oh,
everything. Loving
well,
it.
I think I saw you posted some picture of this is my view today, and I'm so jealous. What I mean, Texas is beautiful and in its own way, but
And
it
the
definitely
barbecue's
doesn't.
delicious.
What's that?
And the barbecue's delicious.
Well,
I mean,
you see
it's
this? Yeah. So, talking about high school days, so what would be your favorite memory of our high school experience?
oh, you got me there.
Yeah.
It's interesting now that my daughter is at the same high school we went to.
Right.
I think about those things all the time. Um, that's tough. I mean, I remember like being, so my senior year, I was on the cheerleading squad. So, I
Hmm.
mean, I remember being at the field and, being around that excitement and activity and just, enjoying that part of it. And
Right.
like in the clubs that I was involved with in general, I can't think of like a specific
Event or
memory.
yeah.
Yeah, but like the classes and like just the friends that I met along the way. And
Oh, well,
yeah.
and I always said that too. My high school experience, when I see my kids, what they went through, I think mine was a little bit different because I didn't have like a clique that I ran around with. You know what I mean? It was just kind of
Mhm.
like everyone was friends with everybody. You know what I mean? You kind of sat with whoever you sat with at lunch, and
I feel
and
the same way. Yeah.
yeah, Sister Gertrude or Brother John would give you trouble, and
Yep. Ah, those names. Yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
and you bring up bringing a cheerleader. I have to thank you very much for being a cheerleader our senior year because our football team, we way underperformed. So it was probably tough to keep the crowd going, I'm sure.
We tried. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was
Uh,
fun nonetheless. Like looking back, it's like those are fun memories.
oh yeah,
For sure.
absolutely. Yeah, no. So yeah, I mean, and then you went to where'd you go to college?
I went to Shippensburg.
Chippenberg. Okay.
Like,
And then from there, what have you done professionally leading up to what you're doing right now?
so interestingly, I have a bachelor's degree in communications from Shippensburg, radio TV. So
Oh wow.
yeah,
No
I
wonder
did.
you're a
I
natural at this.
I don't know about that. I'm really rusty, but I did an internship at TV station and my senior year. And I ended up just not, I just didn't end up in the industry. So I ended up in marketing and communications roles. And then I ended up getting my real estate license before my son was born. So I left like my corporate position, I guess in 2002, and started selling real estate. And I hung up my license, I guess it was 2014.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I've held like marketing and sales roles
Hmm.
since then until I started my business. So kind of diverse,
Yeah.
um, but it led me to realizing that I could be doing working for myself if
r-
I'm doing marketing and sales for, other companies successfully. Like, how can I parlay this into doing it for something that I'm passionate about?
For you, for sure. Yeah. Yeah. So then in 2017, you started a company,
Yeah, actually, it
right?
was like unofficially 2016. I
Okay.
put my website up. I got my LLC in 2017. My fantastic accountant, she is. I wouldn't be here without her. We all have those like partners that in our business that just make things work.
Oh,
And
sure. Yeah.
I'm not doing everything, but
Right.
anyway, she's great. And 2017, I got my LLC. So I was like basically with a small SUV and a website and doing a lot of just connecting and being out in the community and doing, networking in the
Right.
community. So
Yeah.
which
So
is something
it's
that wasn't common.
it's Back to Earth Compost Crew,
Yes.
correct? Is the name of the company. And yeah, so the question I was going to ask you is, starting off, what I mean, kind of, you're starting your own business. Were you fearful of that? Were you excited about it?
Oh
Did you
yeah.
get some opposition?
Oh yeah. I definitely got opposition. Actually, I thought about it for many years before I even did it, which
Hmm.
is the crazy thing. It might have been even like 8 years. I don't know. Like that's how long I talked to people in the industry, and I talked myself out of it. And then I talked to people in my family that said like, "Why are you going to do that? That sounds absolutely crazy."
Right.
And I'm like, well, to me, it doesn't sound crazy. And people are already doing it in other areas of the country. Like, this is a thing. I feel like if I don't do it now, I'm kind of missing out.
Hmm.
But so I waited, and I don't know why, but fear holds us back from
Sure.
doing
Yeah.
a lot of things and listening to other people's opinion or thoughts and opinions. So I just did it. Like the one day I was like, you know what? I said to my husband, I'm like, I'm just gonna buy some buckets. I'm gonna put up a website, telling people that I'm doing this, and the word spread. And so I was so grateful for the initial, folks that joined and told their friends who told their friends. And I
Right.
think of it like people always think like, well, how do you make change? If you think about it, like a pebble goes into a pond and it like causes these ripple effects.
Hmm.
A small pebble can have that effect, and like you making a decision that you're going to do that and just kind of putting it out there and just taking action
Right.
can create like momentum and then cause this effect for other people to join in. So that's kind of it. And I decided that I was going to do a farmers market and just kind of get out there and meet people in the community
Yeah.
and collect compost there. So we signed up. I signed up for the farmers market. And it was me there. My daughter would come with me and just meet people in the community. And then, people started signing up. They started bringing their food scraps. So not only did we do curbside pickup, and that was me. Like crew was me.
Yeah. Well, no, I was going to say, so it was you in
Yeah,
a car
yeah,
driving
yeah,
around.
yeah. That was me. I still do. I still do routes.
Yeah.
But my daughter was there. My son would help sometimes. He still does. They both
Hmm.
do. But making just like deciding that I was going to do it, and that kind of put the moment like things into place, I guess.
Hmm.
And also being around the right people. Like they say, you're like the sum of the five people you spend the most time with.
Right.
So spending time with people that are thinking big, that are challenging you, and also believing in you.
Sure.
Someone once told me, and I was in Texas, I met her there. She said, like, borrow my confidence.
Oh, yeah.
So you can borrow, and like,
I love
not
that.
I don't have that much confidence, but when you're starting a business, it's different. So like in
Right.
personal confidence, and I guess, and like having confidence in your business and yourself that way. I
Right.
oh, that's pretty cool. She even wrote a book about it. I have her book. She signed it. Anyway, I was like, that. She's like, no, seriously. So she was my first coach, and
Yeah,
that coach was helpful. And it was like, so now I say that to my kids, and especially my daughter, like,
right. Borrow my
there you go.
confidence.
Borrow my confidence. You
I
can do
love
it.
that.
She told her friend that the other day. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
Oh, that is cool. No, it surprises you what they actually retain, because
Yeah.
at the time you're like, I don't think you're listening to me, but ultimately it does sink in. So early on, you said kind of reaching out, and you talked with people trying to figure out, how to do it, what to do, and all that kind of stuff. So, I think that's very important. Is whatever you want to be doing, to reach out to people that are already doing it and are
Yes.
successful in doing it. And I think it's surprising how many people are receptive to taking that call and saying, "Well, yeah, Colleen, here's what I've done. I wish I would have done that before, but so
So
no one
true.
gets there on their own. You know what I mean? But overcoming that fear to take that first step of saying, putting yourself out there, saying, "Hey, I want to do this."
Mhm.
That's always a little scary. Yeah, long question.
I mean, look at you though. You took the leap to do a podcast, right?
Yes.
And you're starting to do that.
Hmm.
And it's great to see like you have the momentum and you have to start somewhere, right?
Right.
No one starts as an expert. We all
Hmm.
have to figure that. Like we're like thinking like, oh, if I'm presenting, I have to know all the answers. I'd
Right.
be like, you know what? I don't know the answers to that question, but here's a great I'm gonna get your email address and your phone number, and I'm gonna call you and get back to you. And
Right.
that's a way to like connect with that person and follow up
Sure.
as opposed to like acting like I know everything, which I know I don't. So
Right.
anyway,
Gotcha. So, what was when you're first starting it? I think people, when you have a preconceived notion or have no notion of what composting is. So, when you first started, and you're at the farmers market, which, by the way, on your website, I saw the Malvern Farmers
mhm,
Market, and that was the town I lived in when
yeah,
I was there. I was like, oh, Malvern. So, but was it, partial education of like people bringing stuff to you, and you're like, well, that we can't really compost, and here's why, but here's what we
yes.
can, and
Yeah, there's a lot of that to begin with. That's kind of why I wanted to do outreach is the education component because not a lot of people realize like what can be composted, obviously, and what it is and how beneficial it is and all of that. So to be in front of people like that is so important to me. It's like like I just it's part of who I am. So
sure,
yes, like to let them know, like, hey, we can take that. We provide a list for everyone, and
hmm,
so they know, like, off the bat, but we'll tell them it's like some things show up that don't aren't on our list, and we can take it. So it's like education for both of us. I'm like, oh, we can add that to our list. Like that's something that we can.
right, yeah,
So
yes. So, let's go back. So you start in 2017. How big are you now? So you went from, you driving around in a bucket. How does it stand in 2022? Like, how much has it grown? Do you have
yeah,
employees now? Do you
we
have?
do. We have independent contractors actually.
Hmm.
So one of them has their own vehicle, the other one has their own vehicle, and then we just bought a second vehicle. So now we have a pickup truck and a van.
Okay.
Um, so I'm super excited about that.
Cool.
Wrapped and make it exciting and fun for people to see. But
Yeah.
yes, we have. I mean, we really have like a pretty. I would say like I think we have like eight people. Eight crew members.
Okay.
We do like I have someone who does our fantastic job with our social media. Kate who does our customer service and our newsletter, and then our drivers. We have and then at the collection sites. So yeah, and then we usually I'm trying to think what as far as like how many. I mean, we're over 500 for like curbside and drop off.
Oh, okay. Yeah, current
Like
customers, you're saying.
customers. Maybe more than that. That's residential, and then we also have like our commercial side, which I want to say like 20ish. I don't know. It like
Wow.
we meet with new businesses every week. I'm meeting with them, so um, designing new restaurant that's coming to I can't say yet, but
Oh,
if you look on
coming
our
soon.
yes, coming soon. Um, and a school, if you look on our blog, like we've been like featuring one a month
Hmm.
for commercial composters.
Oh,
So
that's
we're
really
starting.
cool.
Yeah, it's really, I mean, it started with grain from a brewery. One of our composters, or I can't remember if it's a friend or a composter, was like, "Hey, this brewery, they're looking to compost their grain." Oh, it was a friend of mine through business networking,
Yeah,
and he connected me with the brewery, and we started composting their grain, and then like word got out, oh, Back to Earth is composting their grain. They can work with other businesses, and it just kind of grew from there.
yeah,
So with COVID, though, we lost a number of businesses.
yeah,
Unfortunately, because we do compost in like offices in their cafe area,
sure.
things like that. And school wasn't in session, things like
Right.
that. Um,
Restaurants weren't. Yeah.
yeah, the restaurants weren't open. However, the folks were at home making more home cooked meals.
Home cooked
So,
meals. Yeah.
people found us, and we did grow residentially, and now we're like above where we were, triple the size, of our
Well,
commercial
and
business. So,
it's all those little things when you're running a business and owning a business is how do you scale this? You know what I mean?
mhm,
How do I make it to where it can grow? Because as it grows, as the founder and stuff, you do kind of move a little bit further away from the day-to-day operations of driving. You said you still do routes, and I'm sure you do
yeah,
whatever is needed, right? Whatever hat I need to put on, I'm going to put on and do.
that's the
But
model.
that scalability is something that I think a lot of individuals who start companies are just thinking, okay, how do I do this? And they're so scared about, my hand needs to
Mhm.
touch everything because it's me. And I mean, so you really got to have that faith. So how did you come about? You've got great employees, but how did you figure out how to, okay, I need to release some of
Yeah.
this?
I actually our first crew member who came on, Anna. She was actually a curbside customer, and she reached out to me. She was she still is in PT school here. And she said, "I have Saturdays free. I would love to help you out at the market. I'd love to." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, that would be awesome." And I thought, okay, can I afford to pay her? Like how much
Right.
are we making at the market? Like all of these things going through my head.
Yeah.
My dog usually comes with me, like we enjoy it, but I also realized, like, I also want, and she just so great with that, like, so she spoke, she interacted with our composters.
Hmm.
She was able to grasp, because she was a customer, she kind of knew what we were about.
Right. Sure. She was familiar with it.
Yeah, she was a raving fan already, I feel like.
That's
So
awesome.
it was natural for me to like just let her like do her thing, and coming from me, like I like that about like previous where I worked previously, like the owner, manager, like giving that, like releasing that kind of control, because
Right.
I knew how that feels. So like I'm
Hmm.
like competent, I could do this.
Yeah.
So, and when people would, and the feedback that we would get from our composters, like, "Oh, I met Anna
We
2
love
weeks
her.
ago. We love her." Yes. So that made me feel better.
Yeah.
So, and then as we've kind of grown, we've gotten referrals, either they're composters or the referrals. They've seen us, like they heard about us and they want to work with us.
Yeah.
So that's been that's been a good feeling. And I feel great that they know, either if they're a customer, they know like how we operate, or like they're just a good person in general, and
Sure.
they have really good intentions, and they can interact and be genuine, and kind of like share what we're about.
Hmm.
So, and get also like the feedback from our composters is helpful in that
Yeah.
regard.
Oh yeah. No. And so it was funny leading up to the interview. I watched a movie called Kiss the Earth.
Oh, kiss the ground. Kiss the ground.
Or the ground, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
kiss the ground, and it was like Woody's narrating it. I was like, oh wow, this is cool, because I was trying to find because and I would have to probably say that the more education we get out there about the benefits of it all, you know what I mean? Like so I watched it and I was really
yeah.
surprised to find out that really it was our agricultural
Mhm.
tilling of the soil and just stripped it of everything that's caused such a big problem. And
I'm
so
so impressed that you know this.
it,
This is great. Yes, you're
it
right. We need to
yeah,
get back to regenerative agriculture. Yeah.
Right, right. So what I mean. So I think that's the piece that a lot of people don't understand is kind of what is the why? Why should we care about composting?
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, it's the right thing to do. But what I
Yeah.
mean.
Yeah.
We're all selfish animals. What I mean. So by more and more of us doing this composting, what benefit would that bring to everyone?
Yeah. I get like emotional when I think about this. I'm so glad that you watched that.
Yeah. Oh,
There's
it was amazing.
there's another movie I recommend called The Need to Grow.
Okay.
So yeah, check that one out. The Rob Herring is the producer. Um so there's a twofold answer to that question. Number one is, why are we sending in the United States 167 million tons of garbage to landfills and incinerators?
Right.
Like, it's insane. We it's bad, it's not good for the environment if you're incinerating. Some people, like, it's made to sound good, better than going to a landfill. It's not. It's, I mean, half of the stuff that's going in there is compostable.
Right.
So if and it's water weight. Like, food waste is like a lot of water weight. So it's insane to think that we're burning our food. Like,
Right.
our, like, leftover food. It just like blows my mind. So first, we have a trash problem. Like, we need to figure out, we need to produce less trash. we need
Right.
Yeah, we need to figure out ways to just and it doesn't, obviously, like, each household can take, if we take like one step to make a
Hmm.
change, it's good. I mean, you don't have to go and change your whole life to be like zero waste. I know there's like a lot of proponents that are like, oh, zero waste. I think that's great, but you have to kind of work your way there if you're not
Right.
there. So the first thing is like tackling the trash issue, and not burning it. Also thinking about, like, it has to go somewhere. Away is somewhere, like, there's a place where the trash goes. It's a, landfill or incinerator. So if you're purchasing something, or using something, you have to think about the end. Keep the end in mind when you do
Right.
that. So it's important, because that's, causing issues with our climate. And actually, compost can, in the grand scheme of things, can help reverse that. So
Right.
thinking about, you probably saw that on Kiss the Ground. If you take this organic matter and create compost, which add it to soil, actually will sequester carbon, and that's what we want to do to,
Right. Right.
uh,
Because my understanding of it is the carbon is down in the earth, and it creates like this gel that feeds the plant, which then feeds the animal,
mhm,
which then also takes in our carbon dioxide. You know what I mean? And so, but we're stripping all these minerals and all these beautiful
yeah,
things, where
yep,
with compost, my understanding is you would need less fertilizer. Your vegetables would actually be bigger, and what I mean,
yeah.
and be more sustainable.
You won't need pesticides.
Hmm.
Like you said, if the soil's healthy, healthy soils equal healthy plants, equal healthy people, healthy planet. Like,
Hmm.
bottom line. So I wish I had this graphic, but it's like a person and the soil and the plants, the same minerals, like the same minerals that are in the plants and the soil are in us. Like, we are made of the same matter.
Yeah,
It's
they said that in that movie too, where or like we're only like 14% human. The rest of it is everything else that everything else is all
yeah.
the carbon and molecules and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so less pesticides. You wouldn't have to use pesticides, fertilizers. Actually, it reduces the need to water it as frequently, because compost holds it holds
Retains
moisture
more water. Yeah.
better, water retention. So you're
Hmm.
not watering your garden as much, or your farm.
Right.
Um, the sequestering the carbon. I mean, it holds stormwater runoff, pollutants. Like, the
Hmm.
list goes on and on, ending with, like, obviously, creating this something that we need so desperately in our soil.
Right.
So instead of sending it to the landfill, to the incinerator, we can actually create something out of it. Like, it,
Right.
to me, I keep saying, like, it blows my mind to think that we're not doing that on a global scale.
Yeah,
Like,
we're just wasting it. You know what I mean? It's a resource that we have readily available. You know what I mean? It was, and I came prepared with some statistics.
Oh, I like it.
So it says the average American generates 4.4 pounds of waste, but we're only composting
Yeah,
1.5 of those pounds. But the other cool thing that I saw in this was that there's been an increase of 65% worldwide just in composting in just the last 5 years.
I
So
can believe
it's really growing, and you know what I mean. So I think it's about getting that message out there. You know what I mean? Because when I met with you and you told me what you were doing, I was
it.
like, oh my gosh, that's interesting. You know what I mean? I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
there must be like two or three of them but
I
no. And then
know.
I went and I looked, and
Yeah.
it's a big industry actually. You know what I mean? There's like 161 billion dollars or something along those lines of an industry that can, because with composting it creates more jobs,
Yep. Local job.
you know, and all that kind of stuff as well. Because incinerating, you just hit the button and
Hmm.
send it up into the air, but all those the burned carbon and everything else affects our oxygen levels and all that kind of stuff. So it was mind opening to me as I looked into it more. So
Hmm.
you know, I mean, if a listener wanted to learn more about how to compost, you know, I mean, how would they do that? Obviously, you service the Philadelphia area.
Yeah, that's a great question though, because we do Zoom workshops once a
Okay.
month. So if you go to our website, backtoearthcompost.com, right now, the first thing that there's a pop-up box and it says like register for our 5 easy steps to home compost.
Hmm.
And anyone around the world can hop on, sign up for that. It's an hour and a half, maybe. It's
Okay.
$15. We do it once a month, first Wednesday of each month at 7 p.m.
Okay.
Eastern time. So that's a great way to kind of get tapped in to learn how to compost in your yard. Even if you don't have a yard, I can still teach you how to compost. Like
Oh,
my whole
okay.
thing was I needed something easy with steps because I composted in my yard and I did a terrible job to
Sure.
start with. It was not good and it didn't end up too well. But and a lot of the problems that I had, I see now with even people that have been doing it so long. I just went out to visit someone's compost tumbler and he's like, my tumbler said that 3 parts green to 1 part, brown carbon. It's actually the opposite.
Oh,
So his
wow.
compost wasn't coming out the way that he expected it to.
Right.
Like, oh, that makes sense now. So just like little tweaks, and like I can be of service afterwards if they have questions about how it's going. And
Yeah.
it's we do workshops for businesses, in person, Zoom. I was just at a
Right.
college couple weeks ago, chatting with some seniors about their, you know, question. We were talking about having a business, like a compost business, and just
Right.
being
Yeah.
really
Yeah. So a good question coming off of that is, you know, this is a situation that's happened over the course of, you know, decades. The damage we've done to the soil and stuff like that. It's a fix that's going to take time to
Mhm.
do, and as we get more education out there and more awareness around it, so it's actually going to be a flag or a mantle that, you know, the younger generation is going
Yeah,
to have to take up. And so,
absolutely.
you know, I knew you had spoke to that college not too long ago. What are you seeing from them? Are they engaged as? And I know I'm asking you to speak generally about the
Yeah,
youth, but you know,
no,
from
they
your
are
experience, you know what I mean? Are they engaged with it? Are they understanding that, you know, they wanted, you know, this is something that we need to address?
for sure. Yeah, they're very interested, and even like the younger kids, I've worked with younger groups and schools, and they are super interested. They're compliant. Like the amount of like trash that we get in from the schools that we work with, very low. Like they are, they have the signs. They're guided by their teachers or the parents that are in the lunchrooms,
Right.
and they're doing it. Like it's pretty neat to see that the interest, and like the college students, same thing. They had interest. We did kind of like test at another college a couple years ago, and I guess it was a week long. Like they were sorting, and it took them a while
Sure.
to think about it because they weren't used to doing it.
Right.
The younger kids, just kind of like went with the flow and like are getting into doing,
Right.
sorting like a little bit quicker. I guess obviously like the older we get into these habits.
Absolutely.
So, so yeah, it takes a lot of a lot of education,
Hmm.
um, and just like signage and just being
Yeah.
talking about it. And obviously, um, I said education, but I'm talking with someone who's actually an environmental education consultant, and she's
Hmm.
working. So we're talking about working together,
Oh, cool.
see what kind of programs we can put together as far as education, and then actually physically doing the composting.
Yeah.
So
Well, and to me, it's like the earlier we can start, the better. Because bad habits take a long time to get rid of. You know what I mean? We get so ingrained in how we do stuff, and more and more, recycling when we were
mhm.
growing up was something, but it
Yes,
wasn't like a known just everyday thing.
I feel
Now
like
it's
that's what
gotten to the point
composting is
where
now.
I've got two trash cans in the back, and one's for recycling, and we know what goes in that one, and we know the other one goes. Yeah, but now I got to start composting. So
Yeah, I can refer you to someone there. But seriously, when we were growing up, I remember recycling just got it started in the 80s.
yeah,
And it was like I was the one in our household who was kind of in charge of I took on the role, I guess. I don't know. Like
so you've
maybe
had a passion for it for a while.
for a while.
Yeah,
Do you remember the group STEM
I
at
do.
Cal?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
So I was part of that it was called Save the Environment Man. So
Right.
we had a bake sale to buy a part of the rainforest. Anyway, I guess my passion does go far back.
It
But
does.
going back to what you had said, like there's a lot of these companies. If you look on Institute for Local Self-Reliance, there's like a whole list of companies similar to mine around the country that are doing a lot of this work, that are keeping the food waste out of the landfills. It's pretty fantastic to see. So it's
Yeah.
I Institute for ILSR.org, I think it is. So if anyone's watching this and they want to say like they live in, California or Florida, like take
Right.
a look on that website and kind of find out who in your area is doing this and get involved.
Yeah, and we'll even put the website down the bottom of the description, your website, as well as that link to the learn how to compost, and that other website as well. I'll have it down there at the bottom, so that way
Oh, thanks.
if someone's
Yeah.
listening, they can just go down there and click on it. So, but yeah, it's definitely something we need to address. You know what I mean? And I think as we pull it back and have people understand that it's not as difficult as you might think it is. Yeah, I mean, it's like recycling. You know what I mean? When we first started doing it, it was like, why do I need
Hmm.
to put my paper over here, and why do I have to? Why can't I just put it all together? So, but again, I think the earlier we can start. So, uh, a question just popped in my head, so
Hmm.
so it's kind of random,
Yeah,
but
yeah. Go with it.
as we were talking about recycling and now composting, I mean, it's kind of starting to see that increase. Do you think that at some point it's going to be part of a municipal program to where it's going to be, our local government handles the composting as well as the?
I think so. Yeah, I
Hmm.
think we're moving that way. And kind of from what I'm seeing and who I'm talking to, there is, depending on which, local government, there is interest there.
Hmm.
I mean, look at California. They're doing it on, on that scale, and you can't throw food waste, in the trash. And um, we need to kind of model after these places that are doing it like that.
Hmm.
But I think it'll be like widespread,
Yeah.
and it's something that is kind of on a municipal scale. And, I'm not sure how far into the future, but there
Right.
is definitely, and I've been talking to, local environmental action committees and local municipalities, and like the interest is there. Um, we just have to get to that tipping point, and I don't know if it's what that is and when that
Well,
tipping
yeah, and it's all the logistics that need to happen, and all that
budget.
type of stuff. Yeah, budgets and where's that money come from, and
Uh-huh.
we're going to
But
take it from here and
I
put
mean,
it
if
over
you
there.
think about it, right, like you're gonna have to pay for trash removal anyway, right?
Right.
So
Yeah. Well, and
yeah.
and I read a bunch of other articles about, like stadiums that went to composting, and they saved hundreds of thousands of dollars in landfill costs. So it does save money as well, you know what I mean, and just does so many great things for the environment as well. I got two more questions for you, and I'll let you get back to your
Yeah.
family. But
I can chat about compost all night.
oh, absolutely. So you know, as a business owner, you know what I mean. I think I talk about this a lot to other business owners, and actually a lot of guests so far, even about how we learn along the way and we stub our toe. And you had even started with saying, hey, find somebody, find a mentor, find someone who's doing it. So what advice would you give to somebody? And it doesn't have to be only composting,
Yeah.
because what you've done is you've built a business, you know what I mean, and you're scaling that business now. So what would be a little a tidbit for somebody that wants to start their own business? They're nervous about doing it, and but for Colleen to say, I wish I would have done this when I first started, you know what I mean. So you think about it, how would you talk to that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say first and foremost, like find a mentor. Doesn't have to be someone in your industry, just someone in general that you trust that has been there before, like has grown a business. And you'll be shocked to find out like most people like to talk about their like I guess their business and how they grew it. So
Yeah.
they'd be more than happy. Like at first I was thinking like, oh, that person doesn't have time for me, right?
Right.
They're so busy. They're at this level in their business, and you'd be surprised to find out that ever they're willing to talk to you. So
Right.
don't be scared to ask for help to and a mentor could just be, I guess it also could be like someone um maybe that you don't know, but you follow them and you read their books and that
Hmm.
type of person who you um, like their writing style or whatever, like someone that you can
Right.
relate to that has been there before that can give some guidance, and that could be, I guess, someone that you look up to, and ultimately maybe you can connect with that person.
Sure.
I I feel like I was when I was at a conference, I met someone who like he basically said like everyone um is accessible somehow. So like if there's someone that you want to reach out to and get guidance from, like don't hesitate. You never know.
Hmm.
I actually reached out to the one of the producers from that video from the movie that it's second movie that I referred you to, The Need to Grow, and he responded to my email like I'm
Oh,
on his
wow.
newsletter list, and I was telling him what's happening, and it was pretty, it's pretty cool to know that like they're listening and they want to
Yeah.
add value. Like
Sure.
most people are willing to lend their value, what they know to you.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, and it's funny. It's kind of the resounding feedback that I get when I ask that question is a lot of people, don't be afraid to reach out. That
Yeah.
um, people love talking about certain things, right? We love talking about our kids, and we love talking about our other kid, which is the business that we
Sure.
started. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
and it's something we're passionate about,
hmm.
and willing to share. Like to me, it's like I'm helping someone else grow their passion. So why would I not share? And I'm a great resource. Like if you feel like you want to reach out, and I'd be happy to have a conversation and like tell you what I know or guide you and send you to someone that I can connect you with. That's what I love doing. I'm
Right.
super passionate about connecting people.
Yeah. Okay. So I lied. I still have two questions for you.
Okay.
But that's one thing. So you're a very, charismatic, um, very genuine person, and this might be easy for you. You know what I mean? But you know how do you express that passion? You know what I mean? Like how do you get that passion across to somebody? Is it just natural for you
Mhm.
because you are so that way, or is it something where it's like, if I can show them, if I can talk to them about this, or I don't really know how to articulate a question around it, but
Yeah.
passion is one of those. it's not tangible. You can't touch it. I can't say, hey, here's the 5 steps to showing someone your
Right.
passion. You know what I mean? So,
You can read about it, I guess. Like,
hmm
read, learn, study, and read. I forget what I learn, study, and read about everything that's important to you. Like, um, be around the people that have the qualities that you want, things like
hmm
that. So, like, I don't think I was always like this. I mean, I guess I was like to some degree, but I feel like over the years I've kind of learned more and realize I'm genuine, like, and this is something that I love, so why not like share it with everyone? I
right. Yeah.
mean, just that's who I am. I mean, I'm not always um bubbly and excited, but like I feel like when it comes to something like this, it just brings out my excitement because it's something that is important. And I want to make sure that I spread the word.
Well, no, and I think you hit the nail on the head. Excitement spurs people into action. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I'm more willing to buy something that someone is selling me if they're excited about it, if they're passionate about it.
true.
If they seem like they're just doing it to do it, then it doesn't get me jazzed up. And so,
Yeah.
I think that excitement level around it, and just and again, how can you not be excited about what you're doing? I mean, it's such a great thing for the earth. It's a great thing for people. It's a great thing for your food. It's, I mean, it just kind of goes on and on and on. So it's really
Yeah.
good.
I think so too. I mean, not everyone thinks that way, but
Right. Right.
it's like, yeah. I mean, it's it's interesting the reactions that you get.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, no, but it's funny if listeners, I'm telling you, if you just do a little bit of research, and again, I did it because I was getting ready to talk to Colleen, and I didn't want to sound like the buffoon that I normally am. So I wanted to have some knowledge behind this, but as I was reading it, it really is eye opening, and it's not kind of some kind of crazy lifestyle, or hippie mentality, or any of those stigmas that you might throw on something like this. It's very factual, and it doesn't seem to be that intrusive on your lifestyle, especially
That's
once you establish that habit of doing it.
absolutely such a good point. I mean, such a good point. It's not a big change. It's something small that you can do, and once you do it, everyone tells me, I mean, I say everyone, but like everyone who's competent, I can't when I stop or if like I go on vacation, like I want to still keep I don't want to throw food waste in the trash. They'll
Right.
take their bucket with them to the beach. I mean, it's like crazy. Or camping, which is fine. Or, take a bag and then bring it to the drop off site. I mean, but it is that to the point where once you start doing it, you realize, oh, this is easy. Why wasn't I doing this before? Number one, and I don't want to stop. So
Yeah.
uh it's the one thing that you can do. I feel like instead of being overwhelmed with how many things, like I know climate change is like, upon us, and everyone talks about being more sustainable and what can I do? Like this is one thing that you can do that's easy. And maybe if you don't do this, try something else
Yeah.
and be more sustainable in a different way, like use less plastic. And then you'll be
Sure.
like, "Oh, well that was easy, easier than I thought." And then kind of gradually
Right.
add one thing in, maybe once a month or once every quarter, and then you'll realize like how many of these habits you have in your life. And I
hmm
think that's one of the things. This is one of the things where it's like I thought it was more difficult than it really is, and then a
hmm
lot of people tell me.
Well, yeah, and it's funny too, because when you look at the huge problem that we have, it's insurmountable. You know what I mean? Is what it feels like or
Mhm.
looks like. And but if one person takes that step, and then this other person takes that step, and then it's kind of like your pebble in the water, right? So we throw that rock in there, and it starts off just right there, but then it's going to spread throughout the entire lake, and the waves get bigger, and so I mean, it's definitely something that I wrote this thing on LinkedIn a long time ago called disruption. But what it basically talked about was, you know, stop waiting for someone else. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Because they're waiting for you,
There you
and
go. That's why I
so
started it. I was like, there's a need here in suburban Philadelphia for this service. I met with the company that was doing in the city. I said, I really think that there's a need, in the suburbs, and he gave me some great advice, great information, and I was like, I'm just going to do this. Like, there's people out there that need this service. I'm doing a disservice by not doing it. Like, just
Right.
kind of like, I don't know, it was something that was on my heart that was like, I need to do this. And it's cool. It's cool
That's
to see.
awesome.
It's cool to see the progression. It's each day you put your time in, you put your work in, and then like over time it's like, wow, like looking back,
It really
um
stacks up.
yeah, we're making a change, we're making a difference in the community. So, and
Oh,
then it's good.
that's amazing. So I'm going to end with a question though that is completely off of composting, and hopefully throws you for a loop. We'll see
Oh boy.
how good you are thinking on your feet. So, and I just love asking the question, and I don't know why, but I just love people's answers on it. So, if a movie was made about your life, who would star in the lead role of Colleen Falicki?
Oh, that is a really good question. I think, oh, hmm I feel like Drew Barrymore,
Okay.
or like I feel like she's very sustainably minded.
you're
Uh
you're trying to think of your sustainability.
and or oh, there's one other and I can't remember her name. Oh, anyway, just
So Drew
someone.
Drew Barrymore for sure. What would
Yeah,
the title of that movie be? Do you think?
hop on the compost train. I don't know. The
I
other
love it.
day I was
I love
somewhere.
it. Hop on the compost train. Absolutely. Well, Colleen, I can't tell you how blessed I am to have you on the show. And the whole concept of the show is to find the extraordinary in everybody, whether it be the girl sitting at the cash register behind you with the three kids and raising them on their own, to the person that was strung out on drugs and got themselves put back together and found love, or whatever the case may be. You're extraordinary to me in the fact that you're such a kind and warm person. You've always made me feel like a real close friend.
Oh, thanks.
Every time I've seen you, it just makes me smile when I hear your name or see you. So, to be somebody that can take that fear and set it aside and start a business that is really impacting not only the livelihood of your family, because that's what you start a business for, but to be able to give back and teach. I mean, I think that's, teachers are not given enough credit, because they impact us the rest of our lives. And what you're doing is not only running a business but teaching us how to be better stewards to the land, so that way things will be better for all of us along the way. So
Yeah.
I just can't thank you enough for taking the time to being on here with me.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I hope this information was, valuable and um, easy to take action from, really.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's the biggest thing we learned today was just take action. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Just take
Just
that
one
first
thing.
step.
You can do
One
it.
thing. Absolutely. Well, thank you, Colleen.
Thanks for having me. This was
Absolutely.
fun.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, how awesome was that interview? Chock full of great information. Colleen, thank you so much for coming in. What you're doing is really making an impact, not only on your family's life, but on the lives of everybody, trying to make the earth better. And listeners, go to backtooearthcompost.com. That's back to, spell out to earthcompost.com. On their website, you'll be able to see all the information as far as signing up for that Zoom webinar that they do once a month. So make sure you get on the calendar for that. And also, if you are in the Philadelphia suburb area, there's a link on their website for you to subscribe to service, whether it be residential or commercial. So would definitely love to be able to help Colleen grow her business even more. So it's absolutely amazing to me when people do something for a living that has such a dramatic impact on the world around them. And they don't even know it. She's so humble. She's so nice. So again, thank you, Colleen, very much for coming on the show. I'm excited to get some updates for you as the months and years go by to see it grow. And listener, again, please go to our website, onairfromthechair.com, subscribe, leave us a comment. Go to wherever you're listening on Apple or Spotify or whatever you're consuming this podcast. Make sure that you give us 5 stars if you think it's worth it. Hopefully it is. But no, I really appreciate all the love that you guys have given us. We've hit some great milestones just in our very first month of being on air. But you all know what I do at the end of every episode. I have to ask you one question. Who dares to take the chair? Will it be you